morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling. 8-race card at Aqueduct to kick off today. We're a little late starting out, so we'll get right to work. You all right, Greg? Good?
Doing good, yeah.
All right. Good. Nice day yesterday?
Morale fun yesterday. It was a really just a fun card to be part of.
Yeah, I agree. Gotham Day is always a nice day. Feels like there's good things to come, you know? It feels like you're past you're getting past those winter doldrums and getting towards the good racing. A nice race by Morello for sure. Venti Valentine as well. Very impressed by her. You know, I mean, to be fair, and I'm not saying she's Secret Oath yet, but she ran a higher figure, the same sort of figures that Secret Oath's been running in a 92 buyer. It's a long way to go, but I don't see why she's not in the conversation at this point as a Kentucky Oaks contender.
And it was his first start of the year for her, and I think Jorge Abreu seems to believe as the distances get longer, she's going to get even better.
Well, he is a trainer, you know, that's part of training
She had that look about her, though, no?
No, I agree. I thought she ran fine in the Demoiselle. I don't see any reason she's not supposed to be effective. So, very exciting New York bred there. Anyway, Naira Bets, speaking of New York breds, head over to Naira Bets. You're not a member. Use the promo code BONUS200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. We also have a 20% exacta bonus Sundays at Santa Anita. Opt in over at Naira Bets. And finally, America's Day at the Races. Greg, myself, Richie, a cast of thousands spread around the country, 3 to 6:30, covering second half of our card as well as races 3 through 9 at Oaklawn. Race number 1 here, we'll get right into it. Not exactly a race that is full of a lot of form as we look at Foxtail, and at the time our entry made Indian Bella. 2 races back for Foxtail, 3 back for Indian Bella. You know, Foxtail wired the field this day on a track that was very kind to inside speed. I actually took advantage of it by betting on her and got lucky that it came around at speed track. And we'll show that Linda Rice stat, which is actually one worse since we sent it in. How do you trust this horse, Greg, though she is the loose speed?
This race, in a lot of ways, I mean, look, there's a tough card today. Every single horse in this field is coming off just an abysmal performance. Every single one.
I know.
So you got to say, well, who am I going to trust to get back on track in this race? And it's a really tough call. She's one of them. I ultimately, we'll talk about your stat first.
I mean, Linda's just had no success. I think it's 1 for 29 now. I probably sent this in after Friday or before Friday when she lost the last race, but it's at least 1 for 28. They're just not winning, and maybe it'll change. You know, the 2 horses that have form in here, of any, I should say, the 2 horses have any sort of recent form that's not completely atrocious, are her and Magnetique. As we look at Magnetique's race 2 back, and you've taken her, I mean, she is in a lot more realistic spot today than she was last time.
Yeah, that was a 50,000 starter allowance. She was way overhead, but she deserved to go in that spot because what she did in this race. I mean, this was a powerful performance. Where did it come from? Can she reproduce it? I mean, it makes you think, even though that was a much tougher spot last time out, I mean, she showed nothing. I did like, too, that not only did she just blow this field away, she took a little pressure early in this race and just dusted the field. If she can come close to this, it's a total different stratosphere from the rest of this group.
I don't disagree. And she can absolutely win. The problem was the track was very kind to her running style, and her rest of her dirt form is nowhere near that race. So I just have trouble believing it. Listen, either the 4 can win, the 2 can win, and they are the right 2 favorites. I just wanted to go in a different direction in here. As far as Indian Bella, I realize that she's a little bit dubious. She didn't run that badly in that race behind Foxtail. Then she went to Parks and actually ran fine. Now, last time was obviously a debacle. She was outside. The rail was gold. She and that is key. And that is key is even uglier looking at the PPs. They're both coming off against the track trips. I don't know. I just didn't want to pick the 2 or 4.
I desperately actually wanted to pick my girl Lexi in here, and I tried to find justifications to do it. And in the end, barn switch and the fact that she's drawn inside, too, and she wants to try and do it on the front end, I had to pass.
It's not like she was in against Killers last time. Yeah. She was just so awful off the barn change. But this is not a race. It's tough to make a case for Peaches and Spice. I'm not going to knock anybody for betting anybody else in this race. Race number 2, a big scratch in race number 2 with Cross Island coming out. And I don't have anything clever to say in here. We'll look at Scott Alea's last race. I'm going to try to wire the field with Scott Alea. You know, and you and I had talked, and we'll take a look at the replay for last race. I talked yesterday a little bit on the air and off the air about whether or not speed was bad yesterday. You know, Greg, looking at the races, looking them over, I don't think it was.
No?
No, I mean, look at how well the horses ran in the Gotham. Look throughout the day. Speed horses ran okay. There were fairly logical results. Listen, biases can be subjective, and I'm not saying my opinion is the be-all and end-all. Me looking over last night's card, sending in the track trends, I wanted to make a case that speed was bad. I just couldn't, looking at too many of the results and looking at the figures that came out. It didn't seem to be a hindrance. Isn't she just going to be tough to run down in the front end?
She should have won last time, no?
I agree. She should have won last time. And Freddie Mo Factor, it's named for my good friend Freddie Mo, is not much horse. She was the favorite, not much horse. I don't disagree. She should have won last time. I just don't want to make a case for anybody else. And with all due respect, I get it with the horse you're picking. I have trouble with that rider.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
She may or may not be fair.
Look, Cross Island was the one I wanted in here. She came out of the race, and with that, I mean, Scott Elia, there's no question. She's the one to beat. She's gonna, from the inside, she's gonna control up front, and she may well get it done today. Second off a short layoff. There's a lot of reasons to.
She should have won
like
last
her.
time, though. You're not wrong.
But she should get
the same trip.
You would think an easy pace again today.
I mean, on paper, I just don't really know who's supposed to run with her. I suppose the 7. Infringement's the other horse. And you know, it's interesting with Infringement. Randy Persaud has these amazing numbers off the claim, but they're with sprinters. He's actually 1 for 15 off the claim with dirt routers. So they've mostly been with sprinters. And I mean, believe me, I want to make Infringement. I've got a thing for her. I scratched it over second with Cross Island coming out. She's ridiculous. I mean, but I wanted to pick her.
Yeah.
But I can't sit up here and defend her dirt races at this point. And a mile?
Yeah, it's too bad. Look, Cross Island's one that I know it's only a non-winners at 2 lifetime. I was really excited to see how she was going to run today.
She was the horse to beat. I agree. Listen, April Antics isn't far. It's not like April Antics races are slow relative to the others. She can obviously win.
Yeah, it was just, I think, more a case of me not liking everyone else than saying I really loved April Antics. But she has figures that could put her in the mix. I think she'll be coming late. But again, if Scott Elia gets loose,
she'll probably win and pay $340. Yeah. I get it, but I'm not, I'm not proud of my selection. Believe me. Race number 3. So we'll take a look at Impressionist win last time. I'm not. He's probably a cinch in this race. He may be too good with these. Does it bother you at all that they missed a race with him? He was supposed to run in one of those races and he had a mild thing, or you figure he's back and he's fine? I
see a pretty sharp drill coming back. No, it doesn't bother me. And I like his debut almost better than I like this win.
That's a very good point, because this win is sort of a phonied up, track bias aided. The 80 buyer, who knows what it means. I agree with you. His debut was actually a very, very good effort. He totally, blew the brake. It wasn't really his fault. Yeah, it wasn't really his fault. And he actually ran exceptionally well that day. And I think it's a good point. I think people look at his last race and say, oh, he got loose in the slop. He's it's kind of a phony. It's not.
And it showed, too, with that bad start, and he made this huge move that if somehow he doesn't get the lead, it showed he doesn't have to have the lead to still run effective.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's a very valid. Listen, I picked him second. I am not against him in any manner. I just have to make a small bet on Bourbon's Hope. Take a look at Bourbon's Hope's debut. This was a good race. Rotten he beats, come back with a couple of wins since then. One shortly thereafter, one here the other day. He ran, and then he just completely fell apart in his next 2 starts. Yeah, he had some trouble with the start, didn't break that well. Obviously much better fields, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not really sure what to do with him. He may not be able to run, but he ran. Listen, this guy ran a 70 buyer in his debut back in July. In a normal situation, you say this horse could be running in the 80s right now. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, and he has those 2 bad races. I just thought there's nobody else that can beat the 3 in here. I mean, if the 3 shows up, there's nobody that can beat him.
I agree.
He might be able to beat him if he can find that good form he had to start his career, and maybe he's a horse that runs well fresh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The fact that he ran that race first time, and maybe that just took a little something out of him. I know everyone thinks that first to that second start, you're going to see the most improvement. Sometimes it can set a horse back a little bit. And obviously he went to the bench for a while, could come back stronger and better as a 3-year-old, more mature. We'll see.
The hardest thing for a trainer to do, I think, is get a horse that breaks its maiden impressively, a 2-year-old first time out, to get that horse to come back and run well. You know, you look at the list of horses that don't come back for a long time, that come back and run badly. I mean, the others, Ava's K's Boy just sort of sucked along on the rail last time to get second. Dafuski Island, I give up on Dafuski Island. I know the horse showed some ability, but
Third, DeBarisi 2 back.
But what about last time? It was terrible. It was a little wide. I don't think there was a big bias that day. I'm going to try to beat Impressionist with Bourbon's Hope. It's my best idea.
How short, by the way, do you think Impressionist is going to be?
I mean, isn't he supposed to be 4 to 5 in here?
Yeah.
3 to, I mean, I don't know. He's tough to beat. I mean, I didn't make a big stand against him by any stretch. I just thought the 4 was a little interesting. It's so hard around here because, I mean, did we think Radio Days would be 1 to 2?
If Radio Days was going to be 1 to 2, I mean, this horse is going to be, what, 2 to 5?
I agree. I agree. And you know, I think we thought Morello would be 8 to 5 or so, 3 to 2. We never thought he'd be even money. Now, the way he won, they were right. The way Radio Days ran, they were wrong.
Yeah.
The point is, you know, you can say after a race the money was right, the money was wrong. You have to know beforehand. And you and I didn't have a good idea against Morello. We both pointed out on the show yesterday that the board was wide open once it was, you know, Magic Circle, who neither of us were thrilled with, was too big a price. The winner was too big a price. Sometimes you just have to go price shopping. Race number 4 is another race where there's a scratch that's a major player in this race. I mean, I don't know about you. I couldn't make cases for that many horses in here. One of them was Bella Domenica.
That was my top pick, yeah.
And it's just, you know, there's really no pace whatsoever in this race. And I think that's the biggest problem and why I didn't pick Red Pepper Grill on top. That was why I picked second.
Half Day Pam is...
We'll show the replay of the race a year ago.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Cross Island. In fact, just can the horse rebound and come back off a long time off? This comeback start, wow, we're seeing the win?
Yeah, we're seeing the win. The comeback start, to be fair, the horse did chase 3 wide against a gold rail. It was a pathetic performance. There is no denying it. But it was wide against a gold rail. And now, I mean, there's no pace in here. I mean, Trevor is just supposed to go to the front on this horse, isn't he? And I mean, you look through this race.
It is, about, I desperately wanted to pick Appreciate. I couldn't do it. 1 for 46.
After the 1 for 30 the other day, the abuse you took at 1 for 30, you could not come back with a 1 for 48 horse.
And the horse absolutely can win. I think one of the main contenders in here, but
I agree.
No thanks.
It's pretty amazing that we've come to a point where not only can Appreciate win a race, but can do it on the dirt. Because it's not as though this horse run much of the dirt, and I don't disagree. I just hope that Half Day Pam, and I figure either Half Day Pam's going to wire the field or Red Pepper Grill's just better than these.
And this kind of field too, if you can get loose on the front end, you can kind of break the field's spirit, right? They don't have a lot of fight. A lot of these haven't shown it anyway. I went to Red Pepper Girl. I just think if she can find some of those, couple of those races back at Belmont back in October, she's probably best in here. But and the mile, I forgive her last start.
That little cutback will help her.
Yeah.
I agree. And she didn't run that badly, frankly, a little bit against the track 2 races back. She's the horse to beat. I'm going to try to wire with Half Day Pam. I think they're the 2 logicals. If Appreciate wins, 1 for 48s are going to beat me out of multi-race bets. Take a quick break. We'll be back with the second half of the card.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf and Andy Serling talking about the latter half, the late pick 4 of today's Sunday card. Appreciate you filling in.
I like this race.
You know, there are more interesting races in the second half of the card. This is so. We'll get to your top selection, Blewett, in a minute because I do have a replay for him. Because most people who watch the show know that I have utter disdain for this horse. We'll show Regal Quality in Microscope's last race. I will say the Regal Quality ran fine in here. He got a good trip. I think Microscope ran okay. They were, even though this horse is moving up in class, I'm not sure that he's meeting really a tougher field because Daddy Knows is pretty good. And he ran. The problem with Regal Quality is he's 6 for 47 lifetime with 14 seconds. Rudy, for what it's worth, Off a win in a dirt-routed Aqueduct, he's just 19 for 111, 17%, $1.27. I feel like last time was the time for him. Maybe Microscope's a little interesting. I took somebody else that may not be able to run anymore, but I wasn't there. You're not.
Desperately wanted to take Prioritize. He's so dangerous in here. It's good. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
he is and he isn't. I mean, if you're taking him like I did, and in some ways I feel like I'm copping out. And he's not a 50% drop for Rudy because it's 62.5 down to 32. So the stat doesn't work. But Rudy's numbers on these big drops are not great. They really aren't. So that concerns me. He did not lift a hoof in the sloppy seal track last time. There's a possibility that he's just not any good anymore.
No, absolutely.
And it concerns me. I copped out because as we show Blewett, this is him winning 2 back. I cannot pick this horse. I am not allowed to pick him in any fashion. I believe that both of his wins are dressed up by biases and perfect situations where he was completely loose in the lead. And Greg, doesn't it concern you that striking speed is in here with Andre Worry? Isn't he going to be aggressive and go?
I still think, like, Dylan Davis knows this horse has to be in front. There's no other way this horse can win. So they're going to be all out to get the lead. I look at him in 1 1/8, and I think he's best. And yeah, this was absolutely speed dominated here on a track that day. So he was aided by it. But he's 3 for 3 at 1 1/8. He's best at that distance. With the lead at 1 1/8. He's undefeated. He's 3 for 3.
But
so
do you really think he's going to get it over the 5?
If he doesn't get it, he's not going to win. And yeah, Andre Worry can try and put pressure on him for sure. But I think he'll get the lead. If he does, he wins. I believe. Regal Quality, question marks for me at 1 1/8. The other horse for me was Prioritized just because of the. First of all, that race is coming out of last time out, but I love this horse when he came out of the Woodward at Saratoga last year. I thought he ran a huge race that day.
I don't disagree, and he didn't like a wet track, but the problem is, and I picked him, the problem is we're all assuming he didn't like a wet track. Rudy Rodriguez doesn't seem to be overly convinced he did because he's dropping him in for 32.5, and that's him and Mike Dubb. It does feel like they're bailing because in all likelihood he's going to get claimed. And at the end of the day, if he gets claimed with the winner's share of the purse, they don't even break even on the whole deal. So they're washing their hands of him. That concerns me a little bit because they're both sharp guys. And listen, I picked him, so I'm not, but these are some negatives. And when you get guys like Mike Dubb and he I want out, it's probably not a great sign. My problem is I couldn't appear in this show and pick Blewett, and I don't like him because I made my stand. Where else are we supposed to go? American Rule has been awful. Lost in Rome.
I thought about him for a bit. He intrigues me in here.
Lost in Rome?
Yeah.
The problem is he comes out of that easy shot race that had a monster pace, and the race just completely and totally incinerated. And he did run fine last time, but he was taking advantage of circumstance, and that's why I can't take him. Otherwise, I'd have had him higher in here.
Outside of that, though, I mean,
I'm not sure Microscope's impossible. I don't love this rider, and I don't know what kind of trip he's going to get from Bo State with that rider. But I know his last race wasn't that bad, and he's got some races that give him a hint of a chance, doesn't he?
No, he does. He does for sure. To me, I just think he's going to be picking up pieces at best in this spot.
Well, I think there's a chance this race is falling apart. You clearly disagree.
We'll see. I mean, that's the big key to the race. I mean, Andre, how much pressure does he put on Blewett? And if Blewett can't get to the front, he has no chance in here.
And I think that opens up the possibility of the race falling apart.
I just think he's a lot better at 1 1/8.
All right, we shall see. That makes that. We'll be on the air for that.
And you might
so
get a
that'll be
price.
exciting.
He might be better than 7-2. Do you think, Blewett?
I don't, you know what? I wouldn't want to make a morning line. I had enough trouble handicapping this race, and I like to think I have some idea how to handicap. I have no idea how to make a morning line, and I don't even want to guess at what these lines are. David gets things right that I think he's insane about, so it just, shows what I know. A lot of scratches in the next race. Nobody that was a major player in here. Maybe Prince of Pharaohs you might have thought had a shot. I don't really know. I'm going to start the conversation next race with the Yankee division. Race where he comes out of, where am I, the Yankee division, no salt. Once again, and we'll go right to our next replay after this of Daddy Knows. The problem to me with Yankee division, I think one of the reasons we both like Tiergan is Yankee division needs to lead to win. And as we'll go to Daddy Knows next, he's not getting the lead with Daddy Knows in here unless that horse stumbles coming out of the gate, right?
He's had some races where he doesn't have to be in front. Look how big he is, by the way. It might be hard to tell from this video. He is a monster. He's like 17 plus hands. It's a monster of a horse. He's got a big stride as a result. He's in great form right now. He loves a mile too. He's 7 for 11 of this mile distance. I thought I really wanted to go with him and talk about the stat here. He's my second choice.
This stat, and I know it's Rob Atras, but look at this stat. Claim from Rudy Rodriguez on the dirt over the last 5 years. I mean, those are some pretty horrible numbers.
But
I know.
This time it's Rob Atras.
I get it. Routes, they're 10 for 88, 11%, 78 cents. I don't want to claim more from Rudy Rodriguez. I don't care who I am. And I get it. It's Rob Atras, and I'm sure he's above the mean. I wish I could look up a stat how Rob Atras has done claiming from Rudy, but I couldn't get past it. And I know he doesn't need the lead, but he's better when he controls.
And if you think look, it's up for debate. I don't think he has to have the lead. I think he's shown he can sit outside a little bit. But if you do think he does, Heman Harkey on Just Right might give him all the pressure he wants.
Well, we'll look at Just Right's last. No, he scratched Just
Before
Right.
he's out?
Yeah, he came out late.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw that.
He came out late.
He is
Yeah,
out.
that's not. Daddy Knows. We'll take a look at the video for Daddy Knows, guys, if we can. I mean, Daddy Knows is extremely fast. He's a faster horse than Yankee Division.
This is his third race now in 24 days.
Oh, I don't like him, but I don't you think he hurts Yankee Division's chances? I mean, isn't that
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I don't.
we don't disagree on the race. I think we picked the race. I went 9-1.
9-3 for me.
Okay. I went 9-1 because I thought No Salt can rate. And I think the pace gets a little, not hectic, but I think it's going to take a toll. I can't take Daddy Knows in this spot. And I think it's going to work against Yankee Division. Why do you like Tiergun?
So he's obviously been facing a lot better horse. I mean, his horse was pretty darn good, right? Last summer, he reeled off 3 in a row. He's had to face Empty Tomb, who ran a 98 Buyer win. He was second in the Queens County. First Constitution, won the Jazzle. To me, those last 2 starts were abysmal, obviously, both on off tracks. I don't want to say, I saw someone else say maybe he's not as good as a mile and eighth too. I don't want to make that argument because I think he's actually pretty good at a mile and eighth. But I will say, look, he's come back and worked sharp. So I think Rudy might have him back to some of that better form that we saw from him, and some of that better form, even if he's on his B game from late last year. He's the horse to beat in this race.
I think he is too. I like the way he's placed in a mile. His mile race, he was against the track when he ran the 96 Buyer. He's also got a significant rider upgrade since that time. In the Alex M. Robb, he was chasing wide on a day the rail was gold and speed was dominant. Last time out, this horse did not handle the wet track at all. I know he's run well at times on wet tracks. His last 2 sloppy track, sealed track races have been terrible.
Yeah.
Getting back, I know there's been some sprinkles, but it's basically fine out. I just thought a fast track a mile, he's supposed to win this race.
And the thing about him too, obviously no shows those last 2. Throw out the American Revolution race, that's fine, he's grade 1 winner. Aside from that, this horse, he shows up every single time.
I agree. I think you can make excuses for the poor efforts. Now, the problem is he's not going to be 6-1.
No way.
He'll be a third of the price of Hush Storm. I don't know if he'll be favored, but I think it's going to be close. There's no way he's twice the price of Daddy Knows. There's no way he is. There's no way he's a significant bidder. Everybody likes him. There are reasons to like him. We like him for a good reason. I think we'll be lucky to get 3-1 on him, frankly. And I'm not. By the way, I'm betting him at 3-1, but I think we'll be lucky to get it.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't think it lays out that way. I thought that the Heavenly Prize, and it's an amalgamation of horses because we didn't run the Biagio's Rose, we moved to race number 7. It came up an interesting race 7, and you knew that we were going to have a disagreement. You're laughing because I told you the show yesterday.
You put her 4th. Wow.
I don't like that 4th. Yesterday, I do want. Let me ask you a question. Wow, we have see, you have Banksting 4th. So I wanted to start. See, I thought Banksting was the horse to beat in this race. You've got her 4th. I've got her 3rd because I'm going to take better prices. I thought her last race was very good because she was against the track while the horse in the rail, who came back to private purchase and ran terribly, was with the track. I didn't want to take her at a short price. Why are you so against her today?
I don't love the race. I mean, she's getting decent figures enough. I just think there's better. I thought Battle Bling and Maiden Beauty are the 2 to beat in here by far. I
like Battle Bling. So
I could be wrong. But Banks Sting, to me, like Elegant, this isn't just the only thing, but Elegant Squeaker awfully came back and did nothing. And that's not an indictment on her. I think she just didn't run a race that day, obviously. Right. I think Eloquent Speaker is probably better than that. I just think she has to be forward. Maiden Beauty's going to be right there with her, and I think Maiden Beauty's better doing that than she is.
Well, we'll show the last race with Maiden Beauty and Sharp Star. Listen, I am married to an opinion in general, and that opinion is that I bet against horses that are dressed up by racetracks. And this was a track that was just carrying speed along, so it helped her, and it hurt Sharp Star. And she's a really neat horse, Maiden Beauty. I don't want to knock her, and Robbie Falcone's obviously done a super job with her since he claimed her, especially. I still don't think she's good enough to beat these horses without a bias helping her.
So let's go 2 starts back then. That was a day when outside runners dominated, and that the rail that I believe you said arguably was not good. I know she was in the 2 path.
She was not on the rail.
She was in the 2 path that day, but still she was on the lead in path 2. And Battle Bling was from the outside, made this huge big run, and she still held her off.
I don't disagree. She ran better than Battle Bling did that day. I totally agree with you. I'm going to argue that Battle Bling is a better horse off the last race. Horse was claimed by Mike Dubb. No knock on Danny Gargan, who wins a lot of races. But this horse, see, I thought this was a superior effort by Battle Bling. Because at the end of the day,
The ladies?
Yes. I think you could argue that Trevor moved too soon. I don't think he gave a bad ride. I think in retrospect, he ended up moving too soon. And I think she's going to be better at a one-turn mile than she was in this race. And this was a funny race because this was a big gold rail day, but all the running was done outside, and the horse on the inside collapsed. She got a little leg weary late. She still got it done. I think she might be a horse that's just on the improve. And I'm betting her on the come. Now, maybe I missed the boat last time at 3-1, and I'm betting her at a similar price today. But I like this horse. I like that she's cutting back in distance.
Okay. It's going to be fun to watch because, look, Maiden Beauty, she's obviously much better when she's on the front end, but she has multiple wins when she sat off the pace. I know that's not what she wants to be in front.
And I don't think that Banks Sting, I agree with your initial sentiment. I don't think Banks Sting is sending hard after her.
Okay.
I think she's going to be in front today because I don't think Banks Sting wants to get engaged with her because then she'll maybe blow up.
And you're right. I mean, that last start, that was aided, but also that was off 11 days rest to come back and do that, too.
Yeah. I like Maiden Beauty as a horse. It's not like, I've always sort of been a fan of hers. She's got some good races. I think Sharp Star's going to run better on a fast track today, but she's run well on wet tracks, but she was against the bias. The problem with Sharp Star is she is unbelievably unreliable. Mm-hmm. I mean, she runs these huge races. You look at that form that she got last year, and then her form just disintegrated. And I think if you look at last year's form and then you look at this year's form, you have to be a little bit worried that maybe her form is just going to disintegrate this year the way it did last year.
Yeah, and well, this is the comeback start, too, at 5. I have no trust at all.
I have no confidence
in her ability. I just don't think. I mean, she had that one race, that one outlier race that looked like she might be a superstar.
Oh, the 101 last year, right. And then she ended up winning it. She upset in a stake, and then she's just sort of fell apart. We'll see. I'm going to use her. I'm going to bet on Battle Bling. Interesting. It's a 5-horse field. You and I have stronger opinions on completely different horses. I thought the last race today was...
Speed, for me, better be better today.
So Greg's track trends have speed a little bit of a disadvantage yesterday, if you're interested. I don't know where his website is, but maybe you can find it if you're nice to him. Race number 8. If you copped out in race number 8 with a first-time starter, I'm going to abuse you. I'm just letting you roll right now. This would be like a... Oh, you didn't? No, I'm kidding. I saw that. No, I was going to... Let me ask you a question. Would our friend Jonathan Kinchin, there's no question he would cop out with a George Weaver first-time starter, right? Can we tease him on the show today when he does?
No question.
We know he's going to, so let's wait. He's not watching. We know he's going to do it.
He has more love for that barn than I think any barn in America.
Does. Yeah, he does.
That horse has some pedigree, though, right? The Dam actually produced a minor stakes winner sprinting on dirt. The Dam actually won her debut.
I agree.
Even though it was her only win.
It's a practical joke. They paid $165,000 for his yearling and is now running for $40,000 first time out.
So going to take money.
I mean, George Weaver actually has decent numbers with first-time starters and maiden claiming races on the dirt. So I listen. No one's leaving that horse out. I'm just kidding because this is one of those races where it's very hard to have an opinion. I left a horse out that I should have had in because Quiet Type can win this race, the 6. The truth is he's kind of dirtied up by the 2 turf races, and his dirt races aren't that bad. You're going to get easy play home here, huh?
Yeah, I like easy play. I mean, look, I don't
show the replay if I knew you liked this horse.
Oh, okay. Well, look, 7/8 last time out, dropping into this level for the first time. and was on the front end doing it. Those aren't terrible fractions, right, for the level?
No, they were actually pretty quick.
Got beat by a Rudy Rodriguez favorite. The problem is, and I know the horse was a mile in front of everyone else.
Everyone else,
oh my God, behind her, they can't run really. So I would take that with a grain of salt that she was 18 lengths clear of the rest of that field, because there was really nobody else in the rest of that field.
I also think there's a chance the rail was an advantage on February 20th. I get it. She can win. I mean, I think the horse to beat is Dorothy's the Boss. And I know David made her 7-2, and I have a feeling that he was wondering, is she going to be shorter? We're going back in the time machine here to, God, this is like right at the beginning of the Belmont meeting. Seems like a long, long time ago, doesn't it? This was April 30th of last year. This race will probably blow this field apart. And last time out, you know, the Norman Queen ran off. This horse was 3-4-5 It was a gold rail. This horse had a big excuse last time. I was going to pick her on top. I'm just a little bit worried that she's going to end up being a short price in here. I think she's the horse to beat. We both got her second.
She might be, yeah.
I just think she's like super logical here. Okay, Doc Rock.
That's...
I know, I get it. I'm on record as saying I hate her.
Okay.
You know, but the reality is, if you put a line through a last race, and I'm not saying that you're supposed to, but just those races are all fast enough to win here. She didn't get bet a nickel last time. It's like they knew she couldn't win. She broke out at the start. She was like 3-4 wide around the track, just never in it. And I'm wondering a little bit if maybe she needed that race off a layoff. Listen, I'm banking on her needing that race off the layoff. She is indefensible off of her last race, but she's perfectly logical off her other dirt races, isn't she?
No, 100%. But, too, like, coming out of Todd Pletcher barn when they showed very little ability to get the job done, and now had the comeback race on the drop, but didn't show us anything, got to be very dubious.
I am extremely dubious of her. I'm not a big fan at all, but I'm going to take a shot. I watched her last race, and she gave me the indication that she's a horse that might just have needed that race off the layoff. And I'm going to hope I'm right. If I'm wrong, she gets nothing. Nothing. She won't be third.
She's not going to get the lead, is she?
No. Well, she could. Kendrick wants to be aggressive. I mean, is Easy Play faster? It's close. Is Arduously faster? It's close. Kendrick may have to go from the rail, though, right? I don't know if it's going to help her win.
That's why part of the reason I don't like her.
If it's on your track yesterday, then she can't win in the front end. So I'm going to have to hope that she doesn't get the lead.
I'm just saying Speedsters did not do well.
No,
I'll leave it at that.
It's. I want you, when you go back to your office, to look over the charts yesterday and tell me what you think. Because I went in thinking that, and David Argone and I had the same conversation, and he was saying that, you know, we didn't talk after it. We talked the same time you and I did, and he had the same impressions you did, the possibility that speed wasn't good. I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, the thing about, you know, looking at track and bias, the last thing you want to do is be definitive about a bias unless you really. Doesn't, and your opinion is good. Yours, anyone's.
And I'm not saying there was.
Yeah, anyone can differ. You know, we talk about it like, don't announce a bias after the first race. Now, when we were dealing with that period where the rail was really good for most of like 5 or 6 weeks, you watched a couple races and it's like deja vu all over again. But right now, the track has been fair almost every day since over a month.
Kendrick on Chateau, he said he thought the track was a little bit heavy.
Well,
and then that's why the horse struggled. He thought the horse ran his race. We'll see.
The winner did improve, so maybe the winner stepped forward. I mean, listen, Chateau was disappointing. I don't care how you cut it. He was disappointing yesterday. I'm not going to let the track be an excuse for him. I'm a little skeptical. I'll put it this way. I'm more than a little skeptical of him going forward off that race. That race was just gift wrap for him.
No, you should be dancing anywhere in the last for you.
No, that horse can't run. And it's owned by a good friend of mine, and I hope I'm wrong, but this horse can't run in the dirt. You had that horse in the mix?
4th.
Okay, good. If the grass starts growing on the dirt in the middle of the race,
you don't want to hit the superfecta, huh?
You and I will be together. You know, we're gonna get. You know, I actually, doing Talking Horse with you makes it more fun in the afternoon. Not that we don't have fun anyway, because we get to talk with the races more ways, so we have more sort of fodder to go into the show in the afternoon between us.
No, I agree.
So it's been fun. Anyway, I've enjoyed having you fill in. Anthony will be back, assuming Anthony makes it back. He could be in South Carolina
Do we
right
have
now in
updates
trouble.
on him yet?
No, we don't. And
Driving back from Florida, yeah.
I just read a book. I just finished a book about a guy who goes to jail in Georgia driving, back from Florida. I'm not saying it's going to happen to Anthony. We hope it doesn't, but
How many racetracks is he going to hit on the way back?
where could he hit?
If he runs out of fuel,
we're
going to have to start a GoFundMe page.
Too bad that they didn't cancel Laurel and run on Monday like they did with Santa Anita. He could have stopped there on the way back. It's not really. Well, you can go to Philly Park. I don't think he's going to be at Parks by. Depends when he leaves. He made it down there pretty quick. The travails of Anthony Stabile. He will be here next Friday.
I enjoyed filling in, though.
on
It was fun.
What's that?
I enjoyed filling in.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. Nice job as well. And Greg was lamenting, picking winners in the show, and I said, trust me, stick around the show. You will have many days where you feel like an idiot after the show. I certainly have more than my share. Anyhow, it's been fun. Head over to Naira Bets, and we will match with $200 of your initial deposit. Use the promo code BONUS200. Play through Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. 20% exacta bonus through Santa Anita. Opt in. Very simple to do. So easy, even I can do it. Nice day at Santa Anita yesterday. Saw an impressive first-time starter. Saw some nice performances there.
Derby contender, huh?
That
Mandela?
Richard Mandela horse, yeah. You know what? Let's say it's nice to have some good news in the Triple Crown front coming out of California.
Yeah.
They could use it. You spent a lot of time there. I'm a big fan of California racing. Obviously, some tough times, but nice to see that. And, Richard Mandela, it'd be nice to see him back in there after, we were talking about Omaha Beach yesterday. I couldn't even remember how he didn't run in the Derby.
Yeah, that's so tough. Felt for Richard Mandela, but he might have, who knows, he might have the horse this year.
That horse looked terrific. I agree. Yesterday was a day where the preps came up good.
Yeah.
Florida, California, here, where I think we saw horses that are all legitimate Derby horses, and that's always fun on the trail. And finally, the show, 3 to 6:30. More times to talk about these races. Greg and I will be on there. Richie's here in the paddock. I assume that Gary is at Oaklawn,
Yes.
and Jonathan is floating somewhere in space. And we're going to make fun of him.
He's on today.
We're making fun of him before the 8th race.
No question.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, looking forward to it. Catch us on FS2, 3 to 6:30. Have a great day. Johnny I up next as Reprise Scratches and Changes.